Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you a very interesting recipe. This is called the Sri Lankan cheesecake. Even though it's named a cheesecake, you will hardly taste the flavors of cheese in it. It is more of an almond tart kind of a thing. So let me show you how to make this a cheesecake or the almond tart. I'm Rubina Ibrahim, your cakeist. Let's get started. These are the ingredients for the tart shells. So first we need to mix the flour and the icing sugar together. And now we have to rub in the butter to the flour. See, my butter is very soft to the touch, and I'm going to add the butter to the flour, and I'm going to gradually massage the butter with the flour. If you don't like to use your hands for this process, you can even use a food processor so that you will blend the butter, icing sugar and the flour very well. If you all know me by now, I like to mix the dough by hand, and this way you will feel the texture and you will know how much of moisture or fat you will be needing for the dough to come out right. So use both your hands and try to massage the butter onto the flour. At the end, you should be able to achieve a breadcrumb texture, or you call this a sand texture, and when you press it with your hands, it should hold its shape. Now you can add the egg, but add gradually. Here I have taken one whole egg, but I'm using very less of it at the beginning. If you feel that you require more moisture or more egg, then you can add a little bit more. And don't try to over knead your dough. We are not going to knead this dough. You just have to mix the dough where you can get a one whole ball of dough. That's it. You're not going to stretch and activate the gluten. We do not want to activate the gluten for tart doughs. If you activate the gluten in tart doughs, then your dough, when you try to sheet it or when you try to roll it, it will shrink. And when the tart is being baked, it's going to shrink further. So we are not going to knead the dough too much. Now you see, I have got a very soft, extremely soft, beautiful tart dough. Now we need to rest the tart dough. I'm going to transfer it to a cling wrap. I'm going to just flatten it, and we need to refrigerate it for 1 hour. This is very important when you make tart doughs. So when it comes to the pans to bake the tarts, I would not go for a cupcake pan like this. It is too deep and the top is not too broad. This is a perfect pan for baking tarts. It's more shallow and it doesn't have a height. It has very less height and it is wider on top. These are too deep, which will take a longer time to bake the tart or the tart filling. So I would prefer these type of tart pan. So here's my tart dough after 1 hour. It was kept in the refrigerator, not in the freezer. So now I'm going to roll this tart dough fairly thin, not too thick. Let's say 1/4 inch would be ideal for this, because this cheesecake doesn't require a thick base. It should have a thin tart crust, and the filling should be the more prominent part of the tart. Now I'm using my pastry cutter. I'm using the fluted side so that it will give a beautiful finish to my tart. Just have a look at this tart dough. This is how thin I have rolled it out. It's about 1/4 inch, and it's the perfect thickness for this recipe. I was able to yield around 13 tarts out of this quantity I have mentioned. So if you have any gaps, you can take a piece of the dough and just patch it up, it's not going to show anyways. But don't have any holes in the tart shell, because the mixture that we are going to add might leak out and it can damage the whole tart. So use a fork or a knife, just prick 2-3 holes in the center, and not too big so that the air can escape a little bit. Now I'm going to use another cupcake tray, and I'm going to keep it over my tarts, and I'm going to press it down firm, a little bit firmer, so that I would get a clean tart shell. Voila, it's done. Now let's refrigerate our tart shells until we make the filling for the tarts. Now let me talk you through the ingredients list for the filling. Here I have eggs, butter, chopped cashew nuts, flour, sugar, semolina, vanilla essence, almond essence, baking powder, and grated cheddar cheese. So first we have to beat the butter and the sugar very well. Always make sure that all your ingredients are at room temperature. Beat the butter and sugar until creamy. Next, you can add all the eggs and cream the mixture very well. Now we can add in the cheddar cheese. Let's mix in the flour and the semolina together. Here I have used roasted semolina. Mix it together very well, and you can add in the baking powder to the flour mixture. Add in the chopped cashew nuts to the flour mixture. Mix all the dry ingredients very well with a spoon, and then we can add this into the butter mixture. Mix these ingredients thoroughly by using a hand beater. Now you can add both the flavorings to the mixture. So now if you see, I have achieved a beautiful cake batter consistency. It is not too runny nor it is too thick. Now it's time to fill in our tart shells. So these are straight from the refrigerator, and I'm going to scoop in 1 tablespoon of the filling to each tart shell. Try to fill the filling to the top rim of the tart shell. With the back of the spoon, you can smooth the top of the filling. And here I have got some whole cashew nuts. I slit it into 2 and I'm going to put it on the top as a garnishing. Now it's time to bake these goodies. Bake them in a preheated oven. Here I am using an electric oven with the top and bottom heat on, and my heat is on 170 Celsius, and I bake them for 20 minutes. As you take the tarts out of the oven, immediately you need to slide the tarts so that the moisture that's been created from the heat will not wet the tarts and make it soggy. Or you can transfer these tarts to a cooling rack as well. Now my tarts are completely cooled. Look at how pretty it has turned out. First of all, I should say I love the crust, the tart shell. It is thin and so crispy, and it has come out so smooth and clean. So here we go, our beautiful Sri Lankan cheesecake. It is so pretty, I just can't wait to eat it. Okay, let me show you how soft it looks inside. Look at this, it's so soft and the crust is so crunchy and crisp. Oh my god, I just took a bite and it looks amazing and it tasted delicious too. So hope you guys enjoyed this beautiful Sri Lankan cheesecake recipe. I should first of all thank all my Sri Lankan bakers who helped me to find this recipe and to replicate this. It just made my day. Thank you so much for watching, and let's meet again with yet another interesting recipe. Till then, have a great weekend everyone.